We probably should see some sort of implosion. It's not uncommon for industries to sort of become wildly successful, but the first to enter don't make it, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's super
And
common.
yeah, super common. So we've got possibly that scenario kind of unfolding with ChatGPT. They would have to kind of quickly get to revenue, wouldn't they, in order to have some sort of pathway?
Well, I mean, they have revenue, but they're still in the red. They're still spending way more than they're making.
Yeah,
So for every $200 a month subscription, they're losing money.
yeah.
So, it's like, how much money can you lose?
Welcome to Practical AI, everybody. My name is Jeff. I'm here with Peter Lynn. Practical AI is brought to you by Pocket AI. Pocket AI is a tool you can use to prune your models. You can stabilize your models, and you can even give your model amnesia. With Pocket AI, you can prune over 60% of the weights in your models without decreasing accuracy. Peter, wanted to get into Andre Karpathy and some smaller models in the future, but first I wanted to hit kind of a trending fail, and that is ChatGPT's market share. So tell us a little bit about where ChatGPT sits in the current state of the AI race.
Basically, they're losing market share, and their growth is less than the others. So it's not a huge drop, but it's a drop, and that's significant because they're supposed to be the number one, and Anthropic and DeepSeek are taking market share. So that's concerning for them because Sam Altman wants people to pay $2,000 for their super premium subscription. Well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they still have. It's hard to. I've seen anywhere as high as 83% market share, but even on this chart, 60%. And then you've got,
Yeah.
Microsoft and Google and Perplexity, Claude, all those. But what's interesting, I think, in this is while they're still growing, all of them, Perplexity, Claude, and DeepSeek are growing at a rate that's
Yeah.
higher than Grok and Microsoft and ChatGPT.
Yep. Yeah.
And do you think that ChatGPT is in trouble? Um,
I think so.
you do.
Yeah, because I think that Sora 2 came out, and at first there was a lot of hype, and now people are like, yeah, no big deal. Especially with that new app that they released, and it's just generating really bad TikToks. People are kind of laughing at it. So that's pretty much a failure, and now they're going to do the erotica thing. So clearly they're trying to keep their growth rate high, but they can't.
We probably should see some sort of implosion. It's not uncommon for industries to sort of become wildly successful, but the first to enter don't make it, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's super
And
common.
yeah, super common. So we've got possibly that scenario kind of unfolding with ChatGPT. They would have to kind of quickly get to revenue, wouldn't they, in order to have some sort of pathway?
Well, I mean, they have revenue, but they're still in the red. They're still spending way more than they're making.
Yeah,
So for every $200 a month subscription, they're losing money.
yeah.
So, it's like, how much money can you lose?
And there is no moat with open source, right?
Nope.
All right, well, let's pivot over to Karpathy. Couple thing, he's got a podcast that he does with Dwarkesh Patel, I think, is the podcast, and um, the long story short is we're getting more and more noise about these LLMs are big. They are
Yep.
too big, not too big right now, but in the future does not involve these big, huge, monstrous LLMs. Um, Summarize a little bit where Karpathy's going and where he kind of comes to it from, from his rationale.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the only one though, right? A lot of people like and LeCun's been mentioning this that basically LLMs are not the end solution. And in this episode of Dark Age podcast, he mentions that we need to actually delete memory from language models because they remember too much, and that's preventing them from generalizing, right? So we've mentioned this, and plenty of other people have mentioned the same thing that really, when it memorizes the whole entire internet, it actually prevents it from generalizing well. And so, it's gonna go that way. We don't know what the final architecture will be, but it's moving in that direction.
Is there a human? Um, is this synonymous with Inhumans too, where this would happen, where your brain gets so stuffed that you can't generalize, or is this really the reality just of the current transformer architecture?
Well, I think fundamentally we don't know what the right architecture is. It just happens that transformers work really well and they scale really well. And as a result, we keep building bigger and bigger data centers that eat more and more power and more water and more resources and more capital. But it's already hitting a plateau. We've already seen that. And so now everyone's like, okay, well, why don't we do in context learning, which is it actually learning? No, it's using what it's learned to parse the stuff and then reason over it. And again, reason in air quotes because we can't prove it actually reasons. Because a lot of the papers have come out that it's actually kind of alignment hacking the reasoning.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, that there's sort of this pattern, this idea of the LLMs understanding patterns really, really well. But you just mentioned memory and this Karpathy kind of thinking and suggesting that we'd have to delete memory from these things so
Yeah.
that it could generalize. Explain a little bit just in LLM and transformer architecture how the patterns work, memory works, reasoning kind of fake works. Where do those sit, and how do the parameters and the layers interact with those concepts?
The reality is no one actually knows. The current hypothesis is that the earlier layers in the transformer memorize the data. So if you get the whole internet, it's going to compress all of that into the earlier layers. And then in the middle layers, it kind of figures out structural things about language. And then the later layers are supposed to figure out kind of this more logical things, right? So that's a hypothesis. We haven't actually proved that. But the problem is, it's not like there's a clear line. It's not like layers one through or blocks one through five are just memory. There's an intermix of things, and so we don't really actually know, right? So that means that to do brain surgery and remove data that's memorized, we have to be able to delete weights or parameters from multiple layers because they're all related. So it's not like one neuron is the memory for Eiffel Tower or one neuron is the memory for George Washington. It's spread out across multiple parameters, across multiple layers.
Okay, so since we don't know, Karpathy sort of suggests that future LLMs won't be talking about trillions of parameters, they'll be talking about billions of parameters.
Yeah,
But if
that's
we
one
don't really
billion.
know kind of, the layers and the importance and the interrelationship between the neurons within the model,
Yeah.
um, can we even guess that it could get that small? A model that's that powerful could be as small as a billion?
So we have evidence from distillation, right? When we take a trillion parameter model and we distill it down to 80 billion, that's proof that you can have a system that does the same thing at a much, much lower parameter count. So
Yeah.
that's direct proof that it's over parameterized.
Okay. Now, there's obviously loss when we do that distillation, right?
There is. Yep.
Yeah. So, how do we have any idea how valuable or how much the parameters are involved in that refinement or that making it so it's got a lot of shades of gray to it. It's not just
Mhm.
a one or a zero. Do we know that?
No, I mean the ultimate goal that people are trying to get to is being able to interpret the weights and to be able to identify circuits in the weights. So once we get there, then we'll be able to validate whether a model really does what it claims to do, and then we should be able to then measure is it actually generalizing. Till we get to that point, we can't really prove anything.
And then in this same sort of sequence, then it seems to me that you could get to generalization without reasoning. Is that the
You might be
understanding?
able to, but it probably won't work in a general case. You could probably generalize for a very narrow case, but not for the broad case.
Okay. So if you're focused on image, computer vision, and you're focused on, just apples, you think it
Yeah.
could generalize possibly that, but reasoning that an apple is not a car might it might have a hard time doing that.
Right, because I mean, like something that's really regular, like an apple or a box, you don't need to read. You don't need higher reasoning to know it's a box. You just need to recognize the pattern.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So the future is smaller models. We keep saying that. Meanwhile, things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, more data centers.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
more data.
maybe this our first sort of fail, with ChatGPT sort of losing market share. Maybe that's the leading indicator that the small models are on their way.
Yeah, they definitely already are. We see that with DeepSeek, though.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, good discussion. We'll leave all the information in the description box. Be sure to follow us on Spotify as well. We are there. We, if you like and or prefer the audio version, and be sure to listen to us on 2x speed. Peter and I can take some time to get through these things. Peter, thanks for the discussion. We'll come back next time with another one. Thanks.